Cryptoprophet, and once again I am here to speak about the crypto markets, the state of the crypto markets, and also the state of the stock exchange markets as well, and the general state of the financial markets. Now, if you've been following me, you are going to observe that for a couple of weeks now I have been calling for Bitcoin to dump. I've been issuing signs of warnings, and this is not a new thing to me because I've always called correctly the tops and the bottoms of Bitcoin. I mean, a couple of years back, that was in the year 2021, I was already calling for a crash in the crypto markets. This was precisely on the 21st of December 2021. I called for a crash of Bitcoin. I told a whole lot of people that I see Bitcoin coming down to as low as $32,000. A whole lot of persons, most of them on YouTube, some crypto professionals, they never believed what I said. Some persons laughed at me. But in the month of January, we saw Bitcoin dump from $48,000 down to $32,000, which was a shock to everyone. And as many persons who heeded to my advice, they made money out of that dump. And I still said I still see Bitcoin still picking up again and rallying up to $42,000, and that is what played out. And then secondly, I still gave another prediction, another analysis. I said Bitcoin was going to dump below $25,000 in the year 2022. And this came to pass. Bitcoin dumped below $25,000. And in the month of May 2022, I gave an update that I see Bitcoin going below $16,000 and that it was going to touch $15,000. A whole lot of persons who heeded to that advice, the evidence is there. If you join my channel, you're going to see the evidence there. People who heeded to that advice made a whole lot of money when Bitcoin dumped to $15,000. I have correctly made analysis concerning the dollar, concerning the euros, concerning the stock exchange markets. I have given predictions regarding the economies of nations, and they've come to pass. So this is not going to be an exception. I have called for the crash of Bitcoin, and today, just like in other videos, we are going to talk about most of these updates. I will just give a brief update. If you watch my videos, follow me, and you're following me, you should be able to understand the direction that I move per time. So now, guys, I just want to share this little discovery in the S&P 500. Now, this is the stock exchange market, and I noticed this similar pattern. Okay, so I just want to share this with you just so you can understand and know that the market is actually following a certain trend. And most of these things we do is not magic. It's all born out of in-depth research and sleepless nights. Now, this is the S&P 500. We have it here. So quickly, I just want us to take note of this. Now, the S&P 500, this is the trend line. It's been battling with this trend line now. This is the weekly charts. And if you look at here where the S&P 500 bottomed, this was precisely on the 10th of October 2022. Now, I want us to observe something here, okay? Let's take a measurement. You can go through my previous videos so that you would understand better. Now, if we take a measurement from this point, let's take it again. From this point here, we take a measurement in the S&P 500. Now, this gives us, I'm sorry, I take this again. From here, I want us to get it correctly and perfectly. From here, we take these measurements to the top. This gives us 16 bars, 112 days. Now, this top here was where the S&P 500 topped before it began its downtrend, and this happened on the 30th of January after it broke this red line here. Okay, so it gave us 16 bars and 112 days. Okay, now I want us to take a look at this chart. If we fast forward this chart back to the year 2001, 2001. Now I have discovered something very unique, okay, and there are other advanced charts, but I just want to bring out just this one, okay, because the other advanced charts is going to take time and you would require extra training. You need to pass through my tutorship to understand exactly what I'm talking about, but I just hope you can get the message that I'm about passing to you just from this simple illustration. Now there we had 16 bars, 112 days. I want you to take note of something. Now in the year 2001, 10th September, this was when the market also had its bottom with this chart. And now if we draw this line from when the market had its bottom over to where the market had its peak, we are still going to arrive at 16 bars, 112 days. Can you see that? Now from this candlestick here to this candlestick here, it gives us 16 bars, 112 days. Guys, this is not a coincidence. And now I want to talk about these white lines here. Now these are the equinox dates, and there is something spectacular I was able to discover. Now I am a lover of mathematics. As a matter of fact, mathematics flows in my blood. I'm the crypto prophet. Maths flows in my veins, and constantly I am always on the lookout for mathematical equations, maths formulas. I derive equations, I derive formulas. There are certain formulas and equations that I have been able to derive concerning the universe, which can be used for the advancements of technology, and most of these equations are in my mind. Yeah, most of these calculations are locked up in my mind. Now I just have to sit down and think, and this is how I came about this discovery. Now I had to go through the seasons of the world. I went through the winter season, the summer season, the equinox season, whatever season that you can think about in this world. I went through all of them to see how they correlate with the markets. Okay, I always love to think outside the box. And now I came to observe that most times the market follows the equinox season. And now if you take a look at these dates now, this date is the equinox season. Okay, it occurred on the 17th of September 2001, and now we see that on this 17th of September the market bottomed. Now this is a mystery. If you need further explanations to this, then come under my tutorship. Now the market bottomed here, and we see here that the markets on the 17th of December, the market already began having a reaction towards the downside, and we saw it dumping. Okay, and now if we calculate this, if we draw our bar from here to know how many days, it gives us exactly 16 bars and 112 days. This was when this first red candlestick formed. And when did this happen? It happened within this equinox period. Now what I came to understand is this: in most cases when the equinox comes, the market reacts either to the upside or to the downside. And this is no joke, guys. Now I want us to take a look at this. Now after these dates, which was what, on the 17th of December, the equinox came, affected the market, and we saw a decline in the markets. And now if you check further, if you go further, the next equinox dates fell on the 18th of March 2002. And what happened? The market had a reaction and we had a dump towards the downside. This is no coincidence, guys, because this is why they say maths rules the world. Because when you think outside the box, you tend to land in witty inventions and discoveries. Now I'm going to give you a brief story of how I was able to arrive at this. Let me give you this example. Now it is a well-known fact that the Christians celebrate Christmas and the Muslims celebrate Salah. Okay, now if you check globally, worldwide, when December is approaching, that is a time when people are tensed. People get to be tensed because a whole lot of persons are thinking, oh, how can I gather money to celebrate the festive season? I need to be with my family, I need to see my loved ones, I need to do this, I need to do that. So you're going to observe that investment opportunities tend to spring up before the festive season, which is December. Okay, and during the festive season, there is usually an outflow of cash out of the market. And why does this happen? This happens because majority of people want to withdraw their funds to celebrate. So there is always a certain pattern that follows during that time. Now, same thing with the Muslims. When they celebrate Salah, you're going to observe that during that time, the price of a ram increases. Okay, if you want to buy a ram, it increases. It is much more higher than it used to be on a normal day. So if you check this, these are occurrences, these are patterns, and this can enable you to formulate something, make something out of it. And you can use this for your for your daily activities or for whatever it is you're doing, only if you can think out of the box, outside the box. And this is exactly how I was able to arrive at this. Okay, for me to know that on the days that the equinox occurs, there is always a change in the market, either before that time or after that time or during that time. The market has a certain reaction. And now this is what has driven me further to observe and bring out this pattern for you. Now I'm going to draw this for you to understand. Now let's take a look at this. I want you to take a look at this. Now if we take a look at this candlestick here, when the market last bottomed, we take a look at this candlestick here and we draw it to when the market stopped here and touched this red line. It gives us 9 bars and 63 days. I want you to take note of this. Now, if you take a walk into this chart here of the S&P 500, from this point that the market bottomed, okay, from this point here that the market bottomed over to this point that touches this red line, let's draw the bar, let's make the calculation and see, over to this point that touches this red bar. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have here? Look at this, look at this. It gives you from this bar on the 13th of June over to this bar that peaked on the 15th of August. Let's draw this and see. From here, which is the 13th of June, over to the 15th of August, what do you have here? You have 9 bars and 63 days, guys. This is no coincidence. 9 bars and 63 days, rhyming with the previous calculation in the year 2021. Now there are other calculations as well. There are other advanced discoveries and charts, which if I should show you, it will take you time to understand, because I will need to do a lot of work explaining that. But for the time being, please make do with this. Now this is what I'm saying in conclusion, that the pattern that the S&P 500 is currently forming right now is similar to what happened in the year 2001, 22 years ago. Okay, following this little illustration just for you to understand. And what does this signify? Now the S&P 500 has a similar correlation, or a negative correlation, sorry, a positive correlation with the crypto markets, close to 70%, or let's say 68 to 70%. And now this tells you that the S&P 500, as it touched this line here, which represents the equinox, okay, if we take a look at this, the equinox spring was on the 21st of February, and we see that there was a dump. Remember what I told you? I said anytime the equinox is approaching, there is always a reaction in the market. But now these are things that differ, and this is why you need to follow someone who is experienced in this to actually guide you and navigate with you, because nothing is constant when it comes to trading. This can actually be possible, but now sometimes there can be changes. This is why you need updates, and you can't fake this. If you do not know it, you do not know it. It's as simple as that. So I know what I'm talking about, guys. Now if you take a look at this, you would observe let's go back to this charts. Let's go back to this chart and observe something. Now you would observe that when the markets broke out of this line, it began dumping, and when it came back and had a retest to this line, it came up again, touching the next equinox date, okay, which activated a mega crash for the markets. So now if you take a look at this now, we see a similar pattern playing out here, and from my calculation, the next equinox date is going to be on the 20th of June 2023. So there's a very high possibility that right now the market is going to pick up, come down, have a retest, and then we would have a mega crash. But now between this time, which is the 21st of February to the 20th of June, to the 20th of June, which is close to the next equinox date, something is going to happen within this time. And what is going to happen is this: the crypto market is going to dump. Within this time, there would be a dump, there would be corrections, and then we would have the market bottom. And before we approach this next equinox date, we should be expecting a reaction. Now, I know the specific time that this would take place within the month of April. Is the month of April. We would likely have a bottom in the crypto market, and I know the date. Within this time, there is something that would happen. There's a very hidden and special calculation that I discovered that rhymes with this period of time. So all I just want you to do, guys, is to just follow me, follow updates, and you would understand better, and you would know that crypto analysis is not guesswork, guys. There are a whole lot of traders out there that guess. They will tell you, oh, this is it, this is that, but at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't come to pass. Reason being, they just guess, they just assume, you know, that this is how it has to be. But if you look at it, it's not that way. Now, I also want to point this out to you guys. If you observe something here, you're going to observe that this candlestick pinpointed the bottom of the market, and the S&P 500. Now let's draw this. I want you to understand something, guys, because this is very, very important. Now if you draw this line, okay, if you draw this line, I want you guys to observe something. Let's draw this line. Okay, it's already drawn. Now the stock exchange markets came down here and it surpassed the lower low of this candlestick, and it was a major crash. And now if you check this, we are expecting something similar to take place in the stock markets. Now the last bottom of the stock exchange market was at this level. Okay, it was at 31.36%. It was at this level. So I expect the stock exchange market to have a little rally towards the upside in the upcoming days, and then have a major crash that would beat its lower low. And if this happens to the stock exchange market, Bitcoin is not going to be an exception. I'm going to share with you some Bitcoin charts, and I would show you what I expect to take place. Okay, so take note of this prediction of mine, or this analysis, that the crypto market is going to have a mega dump that will take out its lower low due to this formation that is happening in the S&P 500. And I want you to take advantage of this opportunity, guys, because this is money. This is serious money. And believe you me, if you follow these updates, you follow me, I give you these updates from time to time, because these are my personal discoveries, and it would be difficult for anybody to understand it better than I do. So if you follow me and I guide you through this time, within this time to this time here, I think we should be able to navigate and come out of the bear market successfully into the bull run, guys. So let's head straight towards the Bitcoin chart so that we can talk about some key observations there, and then we end the video and we call it a day. About sharing with you is what is exactly going to play out. I say it with all boldness, it would surely play out. Now if you take a look at this, if you've watched my previous videos, I spoke about the history of this pump that you saw Bitcoin exhibit a couple of weeks ago, and I called this a fake rally. And I explained that Bitcoin was in a pressure cooker, and when this pressure cooker explodes, it's going to take Bitcoin to a high price. But my target was between $19,000 to $20,000, but I could see that it exceeded this, and this is what made me understand that the pump was really a very fake one. This is what countered everything, and it only ended up making the RSI to form a higher high, okay, for Bitcoin. Now I want you guys to take note of this, because this is very, very important. Now if you take a look at this, Bitcoin seems to be following a pattern. And if you observe from here, when Bitcoin had this fake rally, like I explained earlier, I said Bitcoin had this fake rally. This was way back in the month of March 2022. A whole lot of persons said, oh, we are heading back to 100k and all, but I called for a mega dump. And this is exactly what played out. And if you check the RSI here, as soon as it came to this time, this direction, this level in the market, as soon as it came to this particular point, it had a dump. And we can see that Bitcoin followed suit, had this dump, and then there was a relief rally. The markets picked up. But now we seem to observe something here, guys, that this chart was forming a bullish divergence, because there was a decrease in price, but there was an increase in the RSI, in the indicator, signifying that we were entering into a pressure cooker for Bitcoin. And I called this in my channels. I called this to as many persons who cared to listen to me. I said it, that I'm expecting a reaction from the market, and this pump came into play. Okay, if you watch my previous videos on YouTube, you would understand better. And right now, what the market simply did, this particular trend line that I drew, you can see how the market touched this trend line and reacted and came down, formed the bottom, came up again, formed another double top, and then bounced down again. And right now, the position that Bitcoin is in is not a good one, because if we want to draw this is what Bitcoin is forming. Now, taking from this point here, which is here in the RSI, over to this point, which is here in the RSI, forming a higher high than this previous point here. Ladies and gentlemen, this gives you a nice bear flag. So we expect Bitcoin to have a dump and come down, beating its lower low. Okay, the lower low of Bitcoin was at what? $15,563. Okay, it was at $15,473 thereabouts. And now if you check this lower low, it is not far from the lower low of the stock exchange market, and same with this other side as well. It is not far, and like I told you earlier, I said I expect the stock exchange markets to drop and exceed this lower low. And now if you calculate from this peak here, okay, from when the stock exchange markets peaked to when Bitcoin peaked as well, you're going to see something. You would observe a similarity. Okay, this was the candlestick that the stock exchange market had its peak, and this was the candlestick that Bitcoin had its peak in this dump as well. Okay, and if you take a look at this, it was at $25,204. $25,204. This was where Bitcoin had its peak. And what happened? The dump came, driving it down to its lower low for the stock exchange market, and for Bitcoin it drove it down to its lower low, which was at $15,000. Okay, $15,400 thereabouts. And I expect Bitcoin to take down its lower low. It's going to take down this price as well, okay, because of this flag that is forming, because the cycle needs to be complete. So as soon as Bitcoin approaches this line I drew here, it is something to watch out for, because if it breaks below this line and touches this line, we expect the price to go way below its previous lowest low. So if I'm just going to help you guys that are watching, I will just give you this little update. Now, from the point that Bitcoin was at, which was $25,000, and it dropped down to, let's say, this peak. Let's take note of this peak. This peak was at $18,160, which was the lowest low. From here to here, you can short Bitcoin. That is going to give you close to 38% if you short Bitcoin with spots. That's if you trade it with a leverage of 1, it should give you 38% profits. Then imagine if you're shorting it with a leverage of 2, with a leverage of 3, with a leverage of 4, and you're shorting it from this price that is in. You are going to make profits. Sure, you're going to make profits, but if you want to make more profits, then you have to follow me, join any of my platforms, and you would make more profits than anyone who just follows what I've just said right now. So now, in conclusion of this whole matter, this is what I'm saying. I expect Bitcoin to pick up again in the upcoming days and form a double top again. Reason being, from the previous chart I shared with you in regards to the stock exchange market, we see that the stock exchange market is approaching this red line here, and as it approaches this red line, it would have a rebound. And when it has this rebound, just like it had a reaction in the next equinox date, approaching the next equinox date, it had a reaction. This is the same reaction I expect it to have. And when it approaches that equinox date, there is going to be a dump. A reaction is going to come either close to the equinox date or on the day of the equinox date, and this is going to play out, guys. We are going to have a crash because this pattern is similar to what happened in the year 2021. There is no dispute about that. This is my personal discovery. This is my personal calculation. I didn't study this from anywhere. I never got this from anywhere. I tell you what it is and what I know based on the facts from the charts. So guys, if you need further updates, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. Follow my updates. When I have an important update, I would come up, I would give it to you, and by the special grace of God, we would see at the top and more money to your account. So do not forget, guys, in conclusion of the whole matter, Bitcoin is going to have a rally, and we expect it to retouch back at let's say $24,000. It may even get up to $25,000 and still touch its previous higher high, okay, that it touched some days back, and that would be a very good opportunity to short it, because the stock exchange market is going to have its rally since it has touched this red line. Now it is either Bitcoin goes back and has a retest at $25,000, $25,000, or it would just be static within this range. But I must tell you this, guys, we are approaching a mega dump. There is a mega dump that is coming that would exceed Bitcoin's lower low. And you see this green line I drew here? This is going to be a very good potential target, because if we touch this green line, there's a very high possibility that we would pick up back. Okay, so just imagine how much profit you would make from these, guys. So just follow me, get updates, and see you at the top. I remain the Crypto Prophet, guys. God bless you all.